And a very good Sunday evening. I'm meteorologist Joe Bartosik coming to you from the Alaska News Source digital desk here, where every Sunday, right during the middle part of the evening, we try to give you kind of a brief, in-depth look at what's going to be taking place weather-wise for the week ahead, and a little breakdown of kind of all the various weather players, we like to call it here, as we head on into the next 7 days, and maybe even a little bit beyond when conditions warrant. Let's take a look at a beautiful sunset that is occurring across the western sky. As we look from our Midtown studio cameras, we can see out across the buildings there that sun reflecting off of the Hillcourt building and getting ready to set over Sleeping Lady that's lying quietly there in the background. Boy, what a chilly day today. Despite all that glorious sunshine, temperatures into the upper 30s, 11 degrees colder than where we should be for this time of the year. And in fact, we've had an incredible stretch of below normal temperatures throughout much of the month. We're going to end up well below normal temperature-wise for the month. Out of the past 10, we've only had 3 days where we've been near normal by about 1 or 2 degrees. And that's even counting Friday, when we ended up what was a fabulous stretch of weather for the past week. Week ahead, not so fabulous as last week, but at least we'll be seeing more in the way of liquid precipitation rather than the frozen kind. Temperatures still continue to be cooler than this time yesterday by about 5 degrees in town, 10 degrees colder in Glen Allen there. Starting to see a little bit of a warm up in Wasilla and Talkeetna. That's because you guys saw much more in the way of sunshine. Temperatures colder by 12 degrees in Seward, where we've had, yes, light snow throughout much of the afternoon and evening. Wind gusts there have been as high as 38 miles an hour, 39 mile an hour wind gusts today in Palmer, 35 in Wasilla, as well as Kenai. Officially at Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport, wind gusts of around 23 miles an hour. And that brought those wind chill values down into the 20s throughout much of the day today. Pretty impressive here for late April standards. Current wind gusts over the past hour, 37 miles an hour in Palmer right now, 38 miles an hour in Valdez, 25 in Seward, and 26 for Kenai and Homer. High pressure, as it noses on in from the north, really likes to funnel and accelerate right through those gaps and mountain passes. So again, those typically north-south oriented passes will continue to see gusty winds as we head through the overnight hours, and starting to subside as we head into the morning hours on Monday. You can see there on that graphic, we'll drop down into the single digits for wind gusts around Kenai, still holding on to 10 to 20 mile an hour wind gusts from Anchorage down to Seward and over into eastern Prince William Sound locations through the middle part of Monday, and then things really settling on down as we head into Monday evening and Monday night. Let's go ahead and try to take a look at what's taking place next here, looking at satellite view showing areas of rain down into southeast. Unfortunately, you folks are going to stay unsettled as well as we head on in through the upcoming week. High pressure, though, dominating much of the state, especially the northwestern 2/3 of the state from about Anchorage up to Fairbanks, north and west. That means clear skies tonight. We are currently seeing a severe geomagnetic storm taking place, and that means high plus very high levels of aurora already occurring across much of Canada right now, as well as Iceland, on into the Scandinavian countries, and all of this activity still being with us as we approach the midnight hour and on into the early morning hours on Monday. We will have more on this coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on the late edition. Even got to talk to the lead forecast officer at the Space Weather Prediction Center, so definitely stick around for that. All right, cold air continues to drain down from the north, and that is going to be changing as we head in through the early part of the week. Here's our current jet stream pattern. One pool of cold air sitting right over much of the southern half of the state. We're going to see that ease up a little bit and push off to the east as some strong energy really kind of breaks down the blocking pattern that we've had over the past couple of days. We'll see a return to more of a west to east flow across the northern hemisphere, and that means storms, much like what we've seen all winter, tracking from west to east across the southern part of the state, and that means a very active weather pattern continuing. And yes, while there is some cool air in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, it looks like for the Anchorage area, enough of a push in off of the slowly warming water temperatures across the Gulf and the North Pacific will allow for, even though it's going to be a cold one, more in the way of rain heading on into the middle to latter portion of the week as we see yet another couple waves of low pressure moving out of the Aleutians and setting up shop in the Gulf of Alaska. Meanwhile, it's going to be a cold night tonight, so if you are going to view the aurora, make sure you bundle up. We'll drop down into the low to mid-20s in town as we head back to work and school on Monday. But up in the valley and on into the hillside, could even see temperatures into the upper teens. My goodness. We'll see temperatures rising into the upper 30s to around 40 degrees, despite plenty of sunshine, a few fair weather clouds on Monday, and temperatures not quite as cold as we head into Tuesday morning, thanks to increasing clouds ahead of the next storm system that, yes, will bring with it some cold rain as temperatures rise up into the low 40s on Tuesday. There is that active weather into southeast through the early part of the week here. Another next storm system starting to develop north of Unalaska, kind of rotating through Bristol Bay as we head into Wednesday, forming a new, stronger area of low pressure across Kodiak and the northern Gulf as we head into late Wednesday on into Thursday. Yes, even at night, still can't rule out the possibility of some wet snow, even down around the Anchorage Bowl as we drop down close to freezing. But we're not looking for a strong push of cold air or a strong push of warm air either. Temperatures we're going to have to watch very carefully as they will flirt mostly in the mid-levels of the atmosphere with that freezing mark. There may just be just enough cold air, even though it's a couple degrees above freezing, to keep a snowflake in crystallized form all the way down to the surface. But we need a couple more days to kind of hammer that out. Marcella, stick around. We're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the month ahead right now, because next up on our minds, of course, is breakup season. And with the very cold air that we've had, not just here in South Central, but across much of the state as well, we have a above average risk for ice jams and ice jam flooding across the entire Yukon, the Koyukuk, the Kuskokwim, the Tanana, and even much of the Susitna River as well. An average risk of ice jam and river flooding as we enter into breakup across the rest of mainland Alaska. And again, I am growing concerned that it is going to be a dynamic breakup in terms of once we change the calendar from April into May. Take a look at this. We have a trend toward wetter than normal temperatures across the southwestern portion of the state on into the peninsula. So that means we're going to have rain in addition to melting snow and ice. So that's not necessarily the best situation. We'll watch this very carefully, of course. Of more concern will be the temperatures. Take a look at this, trending warmer for much of the far eastern portion of the state. So right around the upper Yukon area, as well as the upper Kuskokwim potentially, and areas around the North Slope, seeing warmer than normal conditions as we head into the month of May. So unfortunately, it does appear that the ingredients are coming together for what could be a very dynamic breakup across the interior. And that'll be our main concern heading on into the month of May. Of course, we will continue to watch the updates that get issued weekly out of the Alaska Pacific River Forecast Center here in Anchorage. And of course, whenever Riverwatch starts to gear up here, probably within the next week or so, they'll be taking air flights along the Kuskokwim and the Yukon rivers to monitor breakup from the air. And that's about it for right now. We will continue. You're welcome, Marcel. Happy to update that, and we'll see what happens in the summer. There is a podcast that is now live on the podcast channel of our website for a discussion about El Nino. We're in this neutral phase of or transition from La Nina ending on into an El Nino forming. It's a great conversation with the National Weather Service Alaska Region's climatologist regarding what that means for Alaska in terms of temperature and precipitation heading on into late summer, but more of the impacts being felt in the fall and the winter. Please check that out. Also, we're going to try to have a recording more specifically on flooding. Flood Awareness Week just ended on Saturday, so look for that probably tomorrow as well. All right, it's been a busy night. I will see you at 10 o'clock on the late edition. Please join Joe Cadat, myself, and Austin, I believe, is in tonight. And take care, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and have a great week ahead.